Just want to say we'll be beginning very soon. So hold tight and we'll start pretty soon. Why don't you guys come on around? If you're around the other side, you can come join us now. Welcome, everybody. It's good to be here. Just kind of say for those of you that have never been here before, what this is It's right on the screens. Douglas County Citizens Coalition. I've met a couple of you. It said, I'm brand new. I don't know anything about you guys. Heard about you. So we started in late August, was it? Or mid-August. And it really isn't like you came to a church, but it's not a church function here. In fact, I don't even talk about this in front of my church congregation and say, hey, this whole church that journey is now all about the Douglas County. No, but it really is a citizens coalition. I just wanted to let you know that I personally am a 100% to the core of my being am a believer in freedom. And 100% because I think God created us and he stamped his image into us. And the very first thing that was his character trait that he stamped into us was freedom. When he spoke to Adam in the Garden of Eden, his first 3 words to Adam was, you are free. So, I mean, it just gives me chills to think that's the way God wanted us to be because that's the way he is. So that's why I love freedom, but I'm welcoming you here, and I'm hoping this could be a lot of good information. We do happen to have a bunch of action items, so we want to try to move through really quickly tonight. But we always start with a prayer, and we salute the flag. So why don't we pray, and then I'll have you stand. Father in heaven, thank you for today. We ask your blessing on our time tonight. We just really look forward to the information that's going to be coming. And we just pray that help us to know how to receive it, what you want us to do. We pray that you would empower, that you would speak right into our hearts and let us know specifically if you're calling us to do something. So Jesus, we thank you for tonight. Pray a blessing on it. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, let's stand together. Oh, hold on. There it is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Abby, coming up here. Do you want me to leave my Bible there? Yes, okay.
Source of comfort. Hi, I'm Abby. So the coalition thing that he was talking about, how we got started in mid-August, just because for those of you who've come regularly, maybe see me up here most of the time, it's only because I love to talk and you can't hardly get me to stop. And I'm not like the leader of the show, I'm not running things. Nobody really is, because we're just a bunch of people, I think a lot of us in common with the same ideas and thoughts, and that's like what Jeff said, just trying to protect our freedoms. And I think we have had a lot of things happen that have threatened those, that brought us kind of together. So our mission statement, Jeff, do you have that? Basically, it's about freedom. Yes, please. Douglas County Citizens Coalition is dedicated to peacefully working together to protect our freedoms by taking intelligent action, offering real solutions to those in power, standing with each other when needed, and using the Constitution and its supporting laws as our indisputable platform. And so, like it says in there, part of it is taking action is really what I think we all were ready to do, something that was take action. And along with that, so when I say guidelines, just to kind of protect ourselves, I don't know if any of you have seen other groups be attacked or targeted or labeled or whatever. We just don't want something like that to be used against us. So we've asked that we be kept out of social media. We do exchange ideas and communicate basically through a Telegram channel, but we do ask that when people are added to that, they are added as vetted people who, if you want to invite someone, great, as long as they're like-minded and you know that they're going to be there for the right reasons. We don't want people like sharing it all over Facebook especially, or Instagram or any of those. Do invite people. If you think that what we're talking about and how we feel and you feel applies to people that you know in your lives, invite them. Tell them about us. It's valuable for everyone, I think. And just kind of in an effort to kind of move through our meetings, I know oftentimes some questions come up or something resonates with someone and you know, they want to get something out, and I understand that totally and appreciate that, but if we could kind of get through our agenda and save some of that towards the end, just in an effort to kind of move through the agenda, because I recognize it's hard to get everybody out to meet on a Monday night, 6:30. I think it was Sylvia was talking like the dead of the night right now because it's winter and it's dark so early, and you know, everybody's got Netflix and Hulu waiting for them at home. Anyways, the next portion is my Braveheart, we like to dub Braveheart speech. I don't know if anybody's watched Braveheart recently. Some of the speeches are really motivational and some of them just make you feel bad. I was thinking about this. We started at 8:30 this morning. I had a meeting at my coffee with some people, and then it went into our admin meeting, and I was thinking like my life, how it's changed in the last 2 years. I am a little country farm girl. I was not involved in politics. I didn't care even about Fox News or any of the news. I was worried about what my kids were doing and Glide, Oregon, and that was pretty much it. And there were some things that were kind of going on, like say on TV, I noticed that I thought were weird, and other things like that our older teenagers were so obsessed with social media. But think about, you know, especially people who are older than me, think about how things are different now than they were 2 years ago, or how they even were 10 years ago in society, in the world today, how things are different. And not just because of COVID, but like everything as a whole, like our smartphones that we're all obsessed with, and our kids' obsession with social media, and the stuff that they're showing us on TV, and the stuff that they're expecting us to just swallow and take at all of these different levels of government or agencies, school boards, state level, stuff like that. So it's different. I mean, I notice that now it's different than it was 10 years ago, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, who would have thought that you couldn't go into a store for the last year without a mask? Or, you know, getting your groceries, going to watch your kids play sports or your grandkids, or go to church. You wouldn't be able to go to church in person. Did anybody, I mean, who thought that might be something that would happen in 2020? Or that you would have to be getting vaccinated with an experimental shot to have a job, or you'd be fired. When did we think that might happen? I never thought it would happen 2 years ago, but it's happening. And so things are propelling faster and faster and faster now, and we're being beat down with it. And there's Kathy's standard shit, the best right off the bat. We're on fire from every which direction right now. And so it's not just the COVID, it's not just the shots, it's not just the masks. It's the election integrity, the, you know, problems with our elections. There's something wrong there for sure, you know. And then if that doesn't get taken care of, I mean, every elected official in there is probably in there fraudulently at this point. We don't know. And they're sure not doing anything about it, probably because they know they're there fraudulently. So, school boards, what they're teaching our kids in school, that's changed. You know, we have critical race theory. So, Jasmine, I'm so glad to see you. So this morning, we were talking about, Jasmine showed me an article. Well, I'll talk about that later. But anyways, just school boards, medical issues, parents don't really have rights to their kids anymore. We're losing that, or maybe we didn't ever have them. I don't know. We just weren't questioned about it. But who's safe? We don't have our rights to our kids. We don't know what's going to happen a year from now even. But at the same time, too, somebody said this morning, we're getting pretty conditioned to it and numb to it. You know, like we had in August, everybody was fired up and pissed off, and that's what brought a lot of people here. We had a lot of people come to Winston-Dillard. We had a lot of people come our first meeting here in person. Everybody's fired up. Everybody's pissed off because the teachers and the healthcare workers and all of them were being threatened with their jobs for the vaccination. Everybody's fired up, revved up, ready to go. Let's go do something. Man, we had people turn out. That first week, we were on fire. We went and saw the sheriff. We went and saw the commissioner. We met with the healthcare workers. I mean, there were so many things we were doing. We were just killing it. And so many people, a few hundred people showed up at the school board meeting. The nurses, the nursing students for UCC were getting kicked out of their program. You know, we were writing letters for them, and, you know, stuff was getting done, and then everything ebbs and flows. So we got kind of used to it, you know, in already a short period of time since August to now. Well, the teachers and the healthcare, you know, either they saved their jobs with exceptions or exemptions, or who knows the difference, or they lost their jobs, or they got vaccinated. Kids are wearing masks in school. Next up, they're gonna get vaccinated, or they'll turn in an exception or an exemption. So I guess my question is, where's the final straw and the final line gonna be for people? Like, what are we gonna lose from now until we get to that point where everybody's been either like, okay, that's it. This is unimaginable and we can't take this any longer. What's gonna happen between now and then that we lose? Because we've already lost a lot, if you ask me. And if you ask our kids, I think they would agree. We've already lost a lot. So, I don't want to sound like the bad guy here, but I'm just going to say it. If we're not doing anything about it, but we see it, but we're pissed off and we're complaining about it on Facebook and we're complaining about it on Telegram and we're posting about the most recent treatment for COVID, but that's all we're doing, are we any better than the people who don't see it? We're not any better. So, you know, can we go out and do anything about Kate Brown being the governor right now? No, we can't. We can't do anything about the Biden administration now, but we can sure as crap go to the school board meetings, or we can go to the Board of Commissioners meetings, and if you can't go to them, you can even make it simpler by emailing them. They all have forms of communication. They can be emailed. We've been bringing letters. Like Clay said today, boy, you're making it one-stop shop and as easy as possible. We got a crap load of letters here that people have written. All you have to do is sign your names to them. So I've heard school board members say, well, I only have a couple of emails from parents. I'm not really hearing any complaints. Do they even care if we're meeting in person? If not, we'll just keep meeting on Zoom. So if we just sit back and we're not doing anything about it, there's all sorts of different forms and at links which you want to go to do something about it. You can send an email. You can go to a meeting. Janae went to first probably a Board of Commissioner hearing maybe ever, and asked a lot of questions for the Public Works guy. He had about 10 things on the agenda. It was great. So these things seem small in the grand scheme of things. Being a PCP member locally, huge impact. And I'm not trying to be like the big fancy pants. They're all pissed off at each other, whatever, going around getting 70 grand for their speeches, General Flynn, those guys talking about the local impact. But seriously, local action, and that's what we're about, is local action. So go to the meetings, email the people, pay attention to what's going on. So we're going to talk about some stuff tonight that you can do, or things that are going on. Really think about doing some of those things. And maybe some of you have done all the things, and that's great. But what we need to do is we need to keep it all up, because I don't know where we are with the slides, but well, I want to wrap up my Braveheart speech, I guess, with this before we go. The other problem is, besides people not doing anything, is we have a lot of people on our side of things who, and I'm not saying here, but I'm saying specifically a lot of our leaders, that all are in it for what's going to benefit them and for recognition or titles or whatever. And then they get pissed off if somebody's not talking about them or pushing for them or doing what they want, or somebody's idea isn't put out enough, or somebody did something to make somebody else mad 10 years ago, and next thing you know, there's this big pissing match. And now 2 people who could have been powerhouses for our movement, for our side of things, for freedom, have now decided that their feelings are hurt and they're going to part ways, they're going to go do their own thing. And so I don't know about you guys, but I've seen this from a national level all the way down to a local Douglas County level. And so that's the other thing that we're going to have to get, around and be like, we have a common denominator. We're all losing the same things, all of us. So we need to get our heads wrapped around the right thing to do and the right things to fight for and what's important. So that's going to wrap up my Braveheart thing, and I'm going to go into the Winston-Dillard School Board recall. For those who don't know, there are 2 school board members who are being, did I miss the Australia thing? Just do the Australia thing. The Australia thing is just this. Anybody who doesn't know, things are terrible in Australia. They've been terrible. There's been a lot of lockdowns, rights taken, freedoms taken. But there's been a lot, and there's a lot of like terrible, I don't know if they're actually really true cops or if they're just hired thugs that are dressed like cops. But there's bad stuff going on in Australia. And I think a lot of times people are like, oh man, it sucks for Australia right now. They have it really bad. But who's to say that stuff's not coming here in 6 or 7 months if enough people don't start standing up and doing something about it? And we've said this whole time, you know, when enough people stand up together and say enough is enough, that's when it's enough. And even in Douglas County, things can be done. People can we can put a stop to it if enough of us get together and get determined and committed to take action. So anyways, if you don't know about what's going on in Australia, again, they've had, the army or the military come in, take people to quarantine camps. Yeah, the Aborigines have been taken. So it's just bad news. It's bad news in Australia, and if you think it can't happen, think again, because it's happening. Right now, currently in Australia, and it's not far behind us. So that's true. That's true. They gave up their guns, and don't think also that they're not going to try to do that here. So sorry about going back and forth, but now we're going to go to the Winston-Dillard School Board. There's been an issue with the Winston-Dillard School Board. Winston-Dillard had a chance to be like the first school to stand up and really fight for that local control that the governor was trying to take from all the schools in our state. And we had a chairman on that board who sounded like he was willing to draft a resolution for local control, and then kind of flip-flopped on that. And so probably typically a parent in the district would have taken on the job of coordinating a recall, but nobody was stepping up. And so Jasmine and a few other people who are doing it, not even because their kids are in that district, but that because it's the right thing to do, got on the school board, and has been fighting this fight, even though, again, her kids aren't in that school. It's her fight, just like it's my fight, just like it's anybody's fight who has kids or grandkids in any school. So 2 super nice guys, well-liked in the community. They've done a lot of stuff in the community. They're not into wearing masks, but they're not willing to stand up on the school board and say, yeah, we're going to fight for local control and take it back from the governor, who's, tyrannical leader. So unfortunately, what do you do about that? Well, she's recalling them. She's trying to recall them. And that's something that the coalition supports. And so she's been brainstorming ideas. It's really hard. She's had to get so many signatures, and she's only got a month left to get them. And she needs about 700 signatures left. It's been really hard to get people organized to go out and go knocking door to door, even though they have lists, address lists specifically for conservative, registered, political, Republican, parties, to where you could specifically just go there. So in brainstorming, she's come up with a couple of places: the Christmas fair at the fairgrounds this coming weekend, the Looking Glass store, and the Winston post office, to set up a table for people to sit at to get people to sign the petition. So she's created some talking points. So for people who aren't really aware of what's been happening, they had a big turnout. A couple weeks, they had a big turnout of people show up at the school board meeting, and then they moved it to a Zoom meeting so that the public couldn't attend. So then after that, then they started getting messages, hey, nobody's really worried about it, nobody's emailing us, so we'll just keep it this way. So basically, they have talking points because those 2 people who are on the board are pretty plugged in and, nice guys. People are like, well, why would we recall them? Well, they don't understand that these guys have gone up and they're not standing up to fight for the local control. And the vaccinations for the kids are coming down the pike. Like, they've already heard about it, they know it's coming, they've been told, and so are we gonna just, be numb to it and roll over? Or are we gonna take some local action? Anybody can go sit at a table. It doesn't matter if you're in Winston-Dillard School Board or school district or not. Anybody can go man a table for 2 hours and try to collect signatures. So they're gonna have some talking points available at their tables. They have training to tell you exactly how to get the correct signatures, and some signs to kind of draw people in. And so we need to really make a big push to help support this effort to try to get these 700 signatures in less than the next month to try to make this happen. This would be a really important thing, because if Winston-Dillard can be like one of the first, even in Little Douglas County, that puts them on the map for the state of Oregon for a school district. And these school districts, they just want to float along. Oh, and in fact, Jasmine was telling me this morning that it's the Oregon School Board Association had sent out an article to them that basically people who are opposing critical race theory are also opposing programs like suicide prevention. So this is the kind of craziness that we're up against. So what do? Do you roll with it and be like, well, it's hard to fight back because, this and that and the other. We just are going to take the easy way out and roll around and just do it because they said we should? Or do you say, no, we're not freaking doing this anymore. Our kids are more important and we have to take a stand somewhere. Here's our stand. Here's our Alamo, is at the Winston-Dillard School District. So Jasmine has prepared a schedule, I think, for her location. So I would highly recommend and encourage anybody who's available this weekend to check with Jasmine to see about going and manning a table, even, 2-hour shifts or 2-hour shift? Yeah. And commit to it, She has petitions here, yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Geyer. I'm on the Winston-Dillard School Board, and I do live in Winston, but my kids go to Geneva Academy. So I ran for the school board this year, so I've had about 5 meetings. And I knew both of these guys very well, very, very well. My son's the same age as one of their grandsons and one of their sons, and so wrestling, football, everything their whole lives. And so when this issue came up, when I got on the school board, I knew the masks were going to be coming. And when that issue came up, I was like, this is going to be so awesome because I already know 2 of the people on the board. And then Aaron Saylor was elected at the same time. And so I'm like, man, this is going to be so awesome that our school district is going to be the one that stands. And I had no idea that Brian was going to flip-flop and really just give in that easily. And then we had a school board meeting 2 weeks ago. That same day, we got an email from our superintendent. So all the schools have been notified of this. But we got an email from our superintendent that day saying 2 days before, the day prior, they had met with Colt Gill, who's the superintendent of all of the Oregon schools, I think is his official title. But anyways, the vaccinations will be on the list for this coming school year. So the letter, how it reads is, if it gets these last 2 qualifications, it will be on the mandatory vaccination list. They didn't rule it out even for this school year, so they know how quickly the FDA approval is coming. So it is coming. No other school boards have announced it yet, but it will be coming. And so I think the reason it's so important, in my opinion, for Winston is because we don't have any other school board members up in front of you guys talking or trying to do anything really on their school boards. Not that they're not doing anything, I don't want to make it sound like that, but not up here talking in front of you, I guess I would leave it at that. And so I think this is really important because if we do it at Winston, then we can have a model for other schools. We have senators helping us right now who have funded some of the Facebook advertising we've tried doing, which has been successful. But yeah, like she said, we still need quite a bit of help. And a lot of people will say that they help or say that they'll help, and then it's really hard getting people to actually show up. And so if you can help, even if you can't help at one of these locations, we have other ways you can help. And a lot of times, if you're good at taking on a job and maybe that needs some delegating or needs, like, take on the whole job. That would be so helpful, because sometimes you'll give somebody a job and then they still kind of want you to do all the details, and so then it's hard trying to do all of it. And so, yeah, just help would be awesome, and I think that's it. And I'll be in the back. I have petitions and stuff with me, so thank you. Yeah, yeah.
So if we're sitting at the table, and what do we do? We're asking people if they're in the Winston School District, or what?
Yeah, so,
explain the job.
yes, so you'd be asking if they're in the Winston-Dillard School District, and,
As they're walking by. Or
yeah, and then, so if they say yes, then you would tell them what the petition is about. We have signs that say, basically, we're trying to end Kate Brown's mandates in our schools, trying to keep it a little less personal, or just, and they're, I guess the only thing people, or the things people are getting back are that they're great people, they're registered Republicans. There was actually an issue at the Republican office. They didn't want to take, somebody in the Republican office took the petitions down because they are registered Republicans. Well, then they read the oath of what a registered Republican is, what you say when you register as a Republican, and it's not what they're doing, and so they voted to put it back in their office. And so it's literally just things like that. They go to church, they say they don't like masks, they don't require masks in their, one of them has 2 businesses, and so that's the only things people are saying back, and all of those things are great and true, and I'm sure they're the best people, but that doesn't mean you need to be on a school board if you can't make these kind of decisions. So that really is it. Their other arguments are that you'll have to find a superintendent that will do that. Like, it's the unknown, it's calling your attorney after you've committed a crime, that you're like, now figure it out. It's like that we have attorneys, and basically they're gonna help us figure this out. Newburgh is using the same attorney that our school uses, and they fired their superintendent. So if we got to that point, we already have an attorney that is, they don't wanna do it, the attorneys are telling you.
This is the last year for your superintendent anyways. He's retiring, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't care anyways.
Administrative leave for like a month. If we got this recall, if we're able to get board members, we would have a majority if we were able to recall both of them, and so we can appoint the next 2 board members. So we can literally just pick them. It doesn't have to go through an election process or anything like that. And so it would be obviously hopeful at that point that you would have the board majority and make good decisions. The majority, which would be Aaron and I.
If we can get the signatures and we can get the recall to happen, and they are able to appoint 2 new positions, then it's the majority of the board that appoints them. And the thing what she was saying before is, and Jeff mentioned this before too, actually, they ran on a Republican platform for the election to get elected by their constituents, but they're not upholding that. They're not upholding their oath. They're not upholding their party platform. So they're...
The other option too is they can step down.
Right, they can resign.
They can step down. That is also an option. In my opinion, if you're not going to do what your constituents are wanting you to do, that would be the next thing, is just to step down and let somebody else do it. You don't have to be the bad guy. You don't have to get recalled. You don't have to do any of that. You could just step down and we could appoint somebody that way. That would be.
why aren't they doing that?
Because they think that their response to that would be that it's going to get the schools shut down, the government's going to come in and take all of the money, that the schools are pre-funded, so they already have the money. They would have to literally come take back their own money.
Right.
It's the same that everybody's been threatened with. The thing is, the legislators are telling us literally on the phone, it has to start with Winston-Dillard because you guys have more control over the local schools than we do, and if you guys don't do it, nobody's going to do it. If there isn't,
That's the thing, is we need a model. If Winston-Dillard goes, then we can go to Glide School District, we can go to Sutherland School District, we can go to all of them and say,
and I would
Winston's
put in
doing it.
effort for any of your school districts. Literally, I like I said, my kids aren't even in the district, but I was telling Abby this morning, I feel like, not to be like, but there's so many kids in there whose parents will never go to a school board meeting, and our tax dollars are funding those kids too, and I don't want those kids to get a shot that they shouldn't have maybe, or wear a mask that maybe isn't healthy for them to be wearing. Nobody, there's a lot more kids that nobody is speaking for, and I kind of feel like that is some of our job. That's why as taxpayers we pay for these schools, whether we have kids there or not, because we know an educated society is best for us. But who's educating this society? It's important. The school board is extremely important.
To be clear, what are these 2 guys not doing? We want them.
I've asked 2 times or 3 times to have an executive session to discuss our superintendent, which is basically how you would, because it has to be in a private school board meeting to start discussing anything about the superintendent. Obviously, they knew the assumption was that I would prefer that we put him on administrative leave and get a new superintendent, because it basically goes school board, superintendent, the principal, goes down the line like that. And so you need a new superintendent so that your principals know the sentiment of your superintendent and your board. And then if your principals aren't following in line, then you can start working there. And I mean, you're gonna lose some people, but you're also gonna gain people that wanna work in a district like that. So, I mean, we don't know, but we also know what they're doing isn't working, and it's our money and it's our kids. So, I mean, what they're doing isn't working, so I think trying something else isn't gonna. Exactly, I have to have a board majority, and only Aaron and I voted all 3 times that I requested that to even talk about it. So that's they won't even go in, and I would still have to have a majority if we had that meeting, and they won't even have the meeting.
But even before that, though, there was a resolution made by the chairman that was going to supposedly try to fight to regain or retain local control.
Yep.
But then folded on that.
Yep.
And then their next meeting got moved into Zoom,
Yep.
not in person, because they had.
And we didn't know. They just sent us a link and were like, here's our next school board meeting.
300 to 400 people showed up in person at the meeting before that, so then they moved it to Zoom.
Yep.
And then they won't have an executive session. And then at the last meeting, there was a discussion about the county schools, the Douglas County schools were voting between 2 people, an incumbent and a new person from Douglas County to go represent Douglas County schools at the state level. So a name was given to them on their agenda.
Yeah, just the incumbent and then one name. And then one name.
And the name that was given to them is a Glide school board member, and her name is Candace. And somebody caught my attention, and I logged on immediately onto their Facebook Live, and I'm furiously typing comments. I'm in the Glide School District. My husband ran against this person who I haven't looked into it for sure to check, but I would swear she's definitely registered a Democrat. She is from California. She doesn't have children. She works for one of the companies in town for mental health. She has some very liberal ideas, and she is not for local control. And she's super okay with the masks and all that stuff, but these guys didn't know anything about her.
Yep.
And I believe both Jasmine and Aaron were like, hey, we don't really have any information on her. And Brian said, hey, she's a Douglas County person. I think it's great to have somebody from Douglas County go represent Douglas County
so
at
the
the state
same
level.
3 board majority voted her. So that has to still go to every school board, but that was the general sentiment of the superintendents, was that they wanted somebody local, because the person representing us right now is from Coos Bay. And I'm like, well, that's a small area too. I mean,
Tina?
so that's really frustrating. So.
In that meeting, they admitted they don't know her, they don't know what
Yep.
she stands for, they've never even met her.
Yep.
But she's from Douglas County, so we're gonna vote for her. I mean, it's said on the
Yep.
line. They knew nothing about it.
And they said on the live too, I got them on record saying, because I wanted to have it for our marketing, but they both said on record also that they're not going to do anything to fight the vaccinations. When they come for the kids, they said, because they're coming for this coming school year. And the craziest part about that is it's not a mandate, so it's going to stay there forever. I mean, unless they took it off for some reason, and they haven't taken one off in 20 years. So in 10 years, your kids are still going to be getting the shot as part of their, as part of public school and private schools. I mean, Geneva's going to have to modify their vaccination agreement, because the one we sign is the same as public school. They offer an exemption. We can exempt pretty much anything, but that isn't the point. They're going to have to amend it, because I'm not doing that either. But our other local public schools follow it. So unless there's amendments, I mean, this isn't even, or private schools, I'm sorry. It's a big deal. I mean, our school board fought harder to keep the masks out of the schools than they are for this. They're like, well, there's 10 other vaccinations on that list and everybody gets them. So, I mean, it literally, and they're like, well, you can just get an exemption. And I'm like, you think that they're not going to make those harder to get? I mean, you're crazy if you don't think that. But they both said it on record, so.
I have a couple of things. First of all, in California, the children, a parent cannot get a medical or a
Yeah, and so we still can, and that was their well, it's not even here yet, but that's what they're saying. And I'm like, if we hadn't given up our freedoms anyways, we shouldn't be asking for exemptions and exceptions. I don't have to tell you why I'm not doing something, especially for my child.
And then also, what are these school board members, what are they afraid of except for the money? Are they gonna sell our children out just so they can get some money for the schools? Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
It really is. It literally is. I mean, it's funding. That's all they're saying is that, well, they pull our funding and shut down our schools. Okay, well, we're not any. I mean, all of you guys are or the majority of you guys are going to do something with your children if this happens. You're not going to do. And so yeah, 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 yeah. Well, and that's how I feel though. Is it's already pre-funded. It's our money. And I feel like that's a chance we're willing to take, so let us try it.
So on the money thing, I will say last year, because I was part of the group that was helping with recovery for the Glide fires, and one of the gals that I worked with when she was in our Glide district office was talking to one of the gals in there, and she said, oh, do you know there's all this grant money out in the state for the wildfire portion of things for schools? You know, Glide was right in this wildfire, was really directly impacted, and they said, oh, we're getting enough COVID money, we don't even have to apply for that. I mean, I didn't myself hear that, but that was what she was told.
The last thing I just want to say really fast
it's all right.
is touching on what she said. A big thing you guys should do, along with writing letters, is asking for things to be on the agenda and following through with it. So we have one mom in Winston, and she doesn't really know anybody because they're not from this area, and she will take an issue and like, I want this on the agenda, and they'll say, Brian will say, you have to ask the board chair via email. And he'll say, well, give me I need an article, or why do you want this on the agenda? Give me some reasons. And she'll follow through with it, and it'll be on the agenda, and then she'll be on the Zoom meeting, and she'll be making sure that they do what they say they're going to do, or it's going to be on the next meeting. And they can still give her the runaround to some degree, but not nearly as much. And it really, it took me 4 tries, but I got our chair to put on the agenda for this coming meeting, I think next week, to remove our district from the Oregon School Board Association. And he actually it's on the agenda, so we'll see. He said, I have to bring proof and how can we get these programs through another source, because they teach equity and inclusion training and all of this stuff to our teachers, and so who's going to do that for us? And so basically that's what I have to provide, but it is on the agenda, so that's cool. But just stuff like that, anybody can do that. Next school board meeting? Yes. Well, when is it? I'll have to look.
So actually, that's a good throwback to, I think I missed this, December 8th?
Thank you. Thank you.
So on our website, actually, just to update everyone, I was supposed to mention the website earlier. Anyways, on our new website, we have a link for all of the schools, where all you have to do is go to the schools and find the school, click on it. We'll take you to their site with contact information, when their meetings are, and all that. So that's super handy. Makes it a lot easier for everybody to stay on top of those. And it is important because...
I got an Oregon School Board Association email. I get them weekly, and like one had a thing that said equity and inclusion training, something. Well, a mom had just asked in our last meeting if we had critical race theory in Winston, and they said absolutely not. We checked the whole program. Well, they're not all called critical race theory. Okay, well the meeting's over, and the answer was no, it's not in our district, and then the meeting's over. Well, no, there's no follow up with that, and then I get that email the next week, and I'm like, well, that's basically critical race theory. It's just a different name. And so I screenshot it and sent it to her, and there hasn't been any follow-up on it, but I'm like, I can't follow up on all of the things, and so it was kind of something I needed somebody to run with. So we just need more parents involved. I mean, I can give you guys ideas on things you can email in and ask about, but critical race theory is one. I mean, just asking if it's on, and then say, well, there's these other names. Can you put it on your agenda that I want to know that all of these other names are not on your curriculum also, because the school board approves the curriculum. So I can give you ideas on what to write in and say or do or whatever, but parents getting involved. I mean, literally at the last school board meeting, Brian, the chair, who we're trying to recall, he said, I've had 3 emails from parents wanting these in person. And he's like, I don't want to wear a mask. So why would I move these to in person when we have 3 people and we have 55 people on Zoom? And so, it's hard to argue that. So I think parents getting involved and just blowing up our emails it really does work. I mean, when their emails get blown up, we all hear about it, and it's in a good way. So,
I want everybody to give Jasmine a really big round of applause because, and we don't normally do this, but for her to be somebody to go and run for a school board in a district that she lives in, even though her kids don't attend, because she's that passionate about trying to do what's right, and to go through the hell that she's going through right now. She knows it probably shouldn't have been a board member to take this on, but nobody else was doing it. So again, she stepped up to do it. And she's like every one of us, a ton of stuff going on, you know, kids, all the stuff, busy. So if we can rally some support to help on the recall effort, I think we should. We've kind of supported the Winston School District from the get-go on this venture, and it'd be nice to see it through to get those signatures. So please see Jasmine. If you're in the Winston-Dillard School District, sign the petition if you feel so inclined. If you don't even have to live in the district to help gather the signatures, though. So she's got some sign-ups for helping to do that. So please consider doing that, because again, maybe you don't have kids in school anymore, or maybe you don't live in the Winston School District, but this is something that can impact all of us, and it's something that we can all do in this crazy fight that we're in. On the lines of the school board issues, we have, I don't know if you guys know currently the issues where the National School Board Association drafted the letter to the Biden administration asking for help for all those pesky terrorist parents that are showing up to the school board meetings and making waves. And then Attorney General Garland, yeah. Merrick Garland, that's right. No, we're not going to do that, but he really is. So there's the Colorado mom, first parent to have her door broken down by the FBI because she started speaking up. And I think she homeschools her kids too. But she's showing up at the school board meeting and she's talking, and they already showed up and beat her door down. Doesn't she? Doesn't she look like a crazy terrorist? Yeah, be scared of her because she's a bad dude. And so at Glide, Oregon, Douglas County, well, I don't remember the date, a week or two ago, Janae, we were at our Glide school board meeting, and Janae drafted this great statement she reads, and she talks about this letter to the administration. And she asks our small town, local, tiny Glide community school board members, are you going to be keeping a list and sending it in to the FBI or the Attorney General or whoever of these parents who have been showing up and speaking out at these school board meetings? And what do you think he said? He actually didn't give her an answer. He said, can I take your statement so I can prepare a formal response for you? A formal statement or a response. And she's not heard one yet. What does that say? I mean, this is Glide, Oregon. A guy that went to Glide High School and graduated. Cannot give an answer, yes or no. We're going to snitch out our parents to the FBI. These parents who our kids go to school with their kids, these parents who volunteer in our communities, we're going to rat them out to the FBI as being terrorists. He couldn't say yes or no to that. That's scary to me. I was blown away that they did not give us an answer at that meeting. But you can damn sure bet I'm going to ask them at the next one, because I will be there, and so will Janae, and we'll be there with bells on. But I don't know, but I'm going to, it's usually, thank you. Huh? Oh, well, I've already been emailing them. I'm on their top 5 favorite person this week. Yes. Kelly in our group prepared a great letter that Janae read with a lot of great questions for them also that they have not replied to. So that's something that they like to do. They put your public input at the beginning of the meeting. They give you a couple minimum amount of time to talk. And then they tuck your questions away with a we'll get back to you later, and then they drop it. And they never get back to you. So you have to really be at them to follow up. Anyways, so after that whole National School Board Association fiasco, some states started separating, putting some distance between themselves, some of the state school boards with that National School Board Association. We think that it's important for Oregon School Board Association to separate from that national group. So Janae has prepared a letter tonight, and she has it here available for people to sign. You don't have to sign the letter. If you want to go home and write your own letter, that'd be fantastic too, and we will make the contact or address information available for everyone. But that's one thing that you guys can do here tonight is you can sign a letter to the school board Oregon School Board Association regarding asking them, I think, hey, did you participate in this letter to the Biden administration too, or are you going to separate yourself from them? Yes, Clay. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
And the National School Board did actually rescind that letter, and the Attorney General did not say he would rescind his
Correct.
memorandum to have people follow it up on.
Correct. Right. And they're offering training to school board members to protect themselves essentially from these domestic parent terrorists. And so, anyways, yeah, right? A couple other things at our Glide School Board meeting, one of the members brought up that there's been some talk since August because they didn't have the balls to stand up and say, no, we're going to take local control. Some of them got together and said, hey, you know what? We're these small rural schools, and we don't really have a voice at the state level. We should form a Douglas County Schools Coalition. Yeah. Thank you to everybody who voted for her or the school boards. Not you. Well, she was just voted in, but I'm working on something for Glide School Board. Anyways, I don't know. I think there is a thing that within 6 months of being elected, you can't do anything. So that is a whole nother talk for her. Oh, right. Okay, so yeah, for the Douglas County Schools Coalition. So again, small town Glide, supposedly conservative. One of our board members was actually kind of been a rhino in the past, but he's actually like, hey, I really think it's important to join with these Douglas County Schools Coalition. Oddly enough, Candace didn't really seem super into the idea. Neither did some of the other Republican guys. They had a lot of questions about it. But basically, Dan's thought was this, let's get a voice for these small rural schools at the state level. He's like, a lot of times we have no idea what's going on in the legislation till it hits us, and we don't have any choice or say in the matter, and it's just there. So I actually did appreciate his interest in it, and he was advocating for the local control and for joining this coalition. I was surprised at the amount of what seemed like resistance to me from some of the other school board members. So, and especially Candace, who's going to, they did not want to vote on it right then. There's something that they've been talking about, that Dan has been attending meetings, and just as far as being a part of this coalition, they weren't ready to vote on whether or not Glide should be a part of a Douglas County coalition of schools to represent small rural schools at the state level. They needed to think on that. Same guys who couldn't say yes or no about whether they're going to rat us out to the FBI. Anyways, so we have a couple of other letters that Janae has prepared. And again, if you want to sign them, please sign one, and we'll leave them here, and we'll even mail them or take them to your school. We have two for the school boards, right?
So you can sign it and put what school district you're in, and we could
Yes.
mail them as a group, or you could hand deliver them.
Yes. I mean, we want it to happen, so we'll try to make it as easy as possible. Anybody, again, is completely, I would say, go make your own email, write your own letter if you want, but we have letters available, and we will make sure they get delivered. But there's two of them. One of them is basically asking as far as, are you going to support, like Jasmine said, is our district going to support getting Oregon to separate from the National School Board Association? And the other one is, I think, asking, are you making a naughty list and checking it twice? Is that what the other one is?
Yeah, the one that has, yeah, if they're going on the list, and then it has that second question asking also if the Department of Justice, if they've heard anything from the Department of Justice
Yeah.
about specialized training and guidance for local school boards.
So all of these letters are back there on the counter, so you guys can go back there afterwards and take a look at them. We can make them available on our channel, on the Telegram channel, so you can print them off or take them and use them to make your own letters. We'll make the contact info available for you. They're available back there to look at so you can read them word for word, but there's a few different letters back there. That's something we can do something about. We can do something about school boards. We can send emails. We can go to the meetings. I've been super disappointed at the Glide ones that people aren't showing up. We had a lot of people show up last year and they got kicked in the teeth, and I think they just gave up. So we need, phone calls, emails. If we don't say anything, then they're just going to get away with it. At least make it hard for them.
It's probably more efficient if you're going to send emails and all that. Pick a topic, pick what topic is the most important to you, and just follow through with it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's better than sending 5 different topics or whatever, but pick one and make them every school board meeting. You're going to tell you get an answer, and then pick a different topic.
Yep.
Every school board,
And don't worry about what you're labeled. I'm on the FBI's list. I'm a domestic terrorist, I'm sure, 2 or 3 times over. So, that's the point we're at. Somebody like me, whose expertise is what weed killer to use on thistles, hawthorns, blackberries, poison oak, when you can spray for clover, for out. I'm now on the FBI's list, I'm sure. Anyways. Next, this one is something we've had out on the Telegram channel as an action item. Tomorrow is the deadline. This isn't we have a letter available for you to mail. It's an email tonight for the Oregon, I think they're calling it the digital record. It's an Oregon vaccine passport, basically. Digital.
I typed up a couple of emails, one to the chairwoman and one to everyone else. If you guys want, Hi, I've typed up a couple emails, one to the chairwoman, specifically to her, and then one to everyone else. So if people wanted to send out emails and didn't want to take the time to, write them out, if you guys wanted, I could send them to you and you could post them at the Telegram. And if people feel comfortable and that's what they want to say, then you could just copy and paste.
Yeah, make it
So.
simple.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I sent one today. First, I sent it to the list we have on our Telegram channel, like a list of all the different reps that are working. It was kind of confusing at first. I thought the reps were working on it, so I sent an email to all of them. And one came back and said, hey, we appreciate your input, but you really need to contact these 3 people, which I think were at Oregon Health Authority. So I then took another email and emailed those 3 people. All their names or all their email contact information is on that Telegram post. You just have to kind of look through it. Copy and paste the email addresses into your email. I did it on my phone, and my phone's terrible for email. I have a really crappy Samsung, but I was able to do it even on my phone. You can do this tonight. When you get home, you pull up whatever's on Hulu tonight. Oh, commercial break. I'm going to send. You know what I said? I'm not a writer, but you know what I said? It doesn't make sense. You're making these decisions that are unconstitutional based on what I think are really subjective numbers and subjective science. Also, we are flooding people into the United States through the border who are undocumented, illegal, don't have to be vaccinated, much less have a vaccine passport. Why do we have to have that? It doesn't make sense. That's what I just said. So it can be basic. It doesn't have to be, award-winning writing. But send something in. It's really important. Tonight's like your last chance. You can call or fax or email tomorrow, but start tonight.
Why do they not give any time for public, I know it's a strategy, but I know. Isn't there some like basic timeline that they're supposed to give people?
Well, I'm sure it's probably been open for some time, but people are just finding out about it. Like under the radar.
So when I called in the number to them today, I asked for an extension.
Oh, good idea.
So if we could just all ask for extensions in our letters too, that they would have to extend. I don't know
Oh,
where we'll get with that, but
great idea.
that's March 8th. From now to March 8th, we ought to be able to get some kind of an extension for it.
Yes. So what she said was when she actually called in today to talk to them, she asked for an extension on the public comment period for the Oregon vaccine passport, is what it really is. So that would be something that you could add to your email. Hey, you know what? This is just kind of coming out to the public. We haven't really had a good, amount of time to research this, look into it. Can you please extend the public commentary? Really good information. So let's see. So all we have tonight to offer you here in person for that is we'll put the contact information, well, it's on, but we'll repost the contact information on the Telegram channel. So we had put on our Telegram channel too some stuff about Operation Join the Suit, and it was about sending letters to the Oregon Attorney General, and it said by the 23rd. I don't know if anybody knows who Mike Lindell is, the My Pillow guy. He had the big 4 or 5 day Thanksgiving Frank speech spiel. So it turns out Ronna McDaniel, RNC chairwoman, superstar, screwing us like all the rest of them are, and has basically leveraged the attorney generals to not file the complaint. We won't run you. You won't win another election if you do that, blah, blah, blah. So we still need to send these letters. Do we know our attorney general will not probably do it? No. But again, if we don't send the letters, they have to have record of every communication they get, email, fax, letter, all of those. So I've sent myself, that I signed my name on, probably 8 letters, 8 consecutive days in a row of the Join the Suit attorney general letters. I printed out 20. I gave them to, I had my husband, our adult children, my mom, my cousin, several people had them sign it, and I put it in the mail for them. I put my stamps on it, and I put it in the mail for them. We have several copies. It's a 2-pager, so don't just grab one page. It's a 2-pager. We have several copies of this letter to the Attorney General that we have in the back that you can take and sign and mail. Actually, you don't have to even take it. We'll mail it. Leave it here, sign it, leave it here. We'll put them all in a big envelope and we'll mail it because it's really that important. If you want to take a couple with you and sign and mail in consecutive days, please do.
And
Join the suit.
on that note, the last big mail out we did was how many hundreds of dollars?
200 or 300.
So when you come to visit
250?
on our every other Monday night meetings, drop your pocket change. Whatever you leave is paying for
Postage.
high expense postage,
Envelopes.
so we can get it out.
So again, just to kind of throw it back on that, we're not a formal organization because we don't really want to be attached to the government in any way. And so we're not a nonprofit. People have dropped off or left cash donations, which we're keeping track of all of. But we're trying to think of how can we make money for the coalition to pay for these action items or marketing campaigns. And so we have t-shirts that were kind of designed. They're not DC Coalition because we're not trying to advertise us. I don't know that we have pictures, Jeff, but if you go to our website, we have t-shirts and hoodies. And it's like Christmas shopping season. So spread the freedom, constitutional word in a Christmas shopping kind of way and support the coalition. Oh yeah, and it's a local person who's doing the t-shirts. Yes. Fellow patriot.
Oh, does anybody know that Ronna McDaniel is actually a Romney?
Yes. So no surprise there. Also, if anybody wants to draft letters to her that she should resign, I would super advocate for that also, because she should resign. She's a terrible head of the RNC. So, Ronna McDaniel. We're just kind of all over the place right now.
About the t-shirts, I want to go back to the
Yes, t-shirts.
So, the 1257 boutique is the one that...
The 1257 boutique owned by Deborah Ho is the one that did this for us. She did not charge us for the printing or the actual screen print, and she is doing it at an extreme minimal cost so that the proceeds will go to, well, benefiting the mailing and things that we need to do to raise money for the
So
coalition.
we do have like a ledger. We're keeping track as far as donations that have been made, expenses that we've had. We had some people donate some reams of paper. Mostly it's been a lot of people who have been printing out of their own printers, using their own ink cartridges and their own paper and stuff like that. But anyways, we've talked about that, but it's hard to say how many to order, because what if people, what if... Yeah, somebody has to fit the bill to pay for them. So we would have to come up with the money to buy a bulk order to then. So we have had a few different people, you know, kind of shelling money out, and we have people who are, you know, still interested in the PMAs that we're looking into as far as getting something started there.
I think if you went into the 1257, Deborah could probably do that, but just for simplifying records and intake of money, and it's easier if you can do it online. But definitely, I bet Deborah would do that if you went in. What she would do is just help you do it online is probably what she would do. It's 1257 West Harvard.
And I was gonna say too, so you order online, but you go in to pick up, but if it's hard for somebody to get in there, just let us know, and we can get him picked up from Deborah, and we could bring him to the next in-person meeting. You go online, you order what you want, you pay for it, and let us know, and one of us
can do that.
Tina could go by, and she could pick the order up and bring it to the next in-person meeting, and you could just pick it up there to make it easier.
Yeah.
On Telegram, maybe you don't even wait for somebody to ask. Just you could post on there and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a job. I have time. I've got 5 hours. Does somebody have something I can do?" Because that would be awesome too. And I know there's people that are kind of just waiting to be asked. And if you put it out there, we'll ask.
Yes. So we have the T-shirt thing. It's on the website. There's a link for it. You go onto our website. This website I think is going to be really awesome, you guys. And we took a while. We started on Telegram because it was quick, it was efficient, and a lot of people were familiar with it and already there. And it did kind of blow up, but it was overwhelming to a lot of people. But we didn't want to just move everybody to like a new program without being sure of what we wanted and how we wanted it to work, because we didn't want to move and then move and then move again. So Sheila, who is a huge part of our admin group, her husband and her found another group somewhere in the country, Patriot Group, and kind of modeled their website. And I think it's going to be, you go to it and you put your name, your email in, and then you get updates. There won't be like the kind of back and forth like you can see in the Telegram channel. So for those who really enjoy that and get a lot out of that, keep doing that. For those who that's too much for them, just use the website. Anyways, we also will have our action items on the website. She's got the link for the school meetings. She's got the action items, everything we have going on. She's working on a calendar for events. Huh? Okay. No, actually, I think we just talked about that briefly this morning, about maybe making something up. I mean, kind of, we didn't really want to be super out there, but we do have a website now, so we kind of are out there. So we might put something together to have available at the next meeting just for people to take on their way out the door.
Just for those like-minded people.
Right, yeah, put them in their stockings. Sure.
I kind of wanted to go back to the mandate or the vaccine passport thing. I didn't know if anybody had thought about this, but what if we were to form a group of people that were dedicated to going around to businesses and asking them if they're going to comply, and see what kind of response we can get? They need to know the impact of those of us that won't be shopping in their place, we won't be eating in their restaurants, we won't be going through their drive-thrus, even if you can, because you're technically not going in the business. But, you know, I think if we can show a presence and just a presence to know that there are people out there that we're going to stand firm and we're not going to come in and shop in your stores anymore.
Right.
We want to know if you will stand with us. And sometimes that's all it takes for them to get the courage up enough to say, yeah, you're right, we're not going to do it either. And
that is something that we actually talked about early on when we were kind of binging out all those appointments with people. We talked about meeting with the head of SHRM, so we never actually got anyone pinned down for a meeting. But that's definitely something that we can work, you know, we can figure out the right way to do it, and definitely take some action items on that. So, Sylvia, got to know that? Secretary, got a note on that?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
a note. One thing I don't know if we've talked about, but I'm thinking of now is, have we talked to commissioners? Are commissioners not making
They're not, we're a sanctuary, a Second Amendment sanctuary county. And all I believe that Commissioner Freeman will tell you is, we have this resolution that we've already sent to the governor that we're gonna, whatever. I think that's as good as we're gonna get.
Can the city do something that the county's not doing? Because it seemed like it was the city that created their sanctuary. I don't know if anyone's talked to the city council.
We haven't talked to city council because our meetings are all on Zoom. So I'm not sure, we can look into the best way to comment to them, because they're not in person, they're on Zoom. We're gonna have a harder time with the city than we did with the county though. Yes?
Henry did not support the mask. Has anybody checked with him to see if he's willing to support this thing about the vaccine?
I believe that Sheriff Hanlon,
Yes.
I believe that he also is pro-choice on the vaccine and not willing to mandate it. In fact, I think that's why they had to let go of the juvenile department, is because the state was trying to mandate that they have their employees there be vaccinated, and the county said, we're not going to do that. So I think they.
Okay.
I'm part of the juvenile.
Oh, do I have that wrong?
Hi. Yes, we have to have a religious exemption. So the ones that didn't want to be vaccinated, which is, I'm one of those people, we submitted a religious exemption and they approved it. So the juvenile department still has state foster kids.
Okay.
Yes, my understanding also from the county is, from people that work at the county, is the commissioners were basically accepting every exemption.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I think that's their stance.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Just to wrap up on that, join the suit thing, what the suit has to do with election integrity, and it's apparently a super dialed in lawsuit complaint, and it has to be filed by the attorney generals. And so that's why, and if you have family members in other states, encourage them. There's a website, and I'll post it. Also, I'll repost it on the channel, but it's operationjointhesuit.com. And there's like a contact your AG, and you click on it and you can find your state. Every state's on there. There's a letter. There's all the contact information. I sent 5 copies to my father-in-law. I printed them out for him and sent them to him for him to send out, send him the email and everything. So you can share that joy with everybody. But we really need to have everybody hit the attorney generals on that. And we have those letters in the back. They're 2 pages. I think this is our last thing. There was a letter that went out to the people of the United States that was signed by, I don't even know how many, but basically representatives from all 50 states, I believe, saying that, calling for the decertification of the elections based on the amount of information that's already come out so far on fraud that's been found. So there's 4 reps from Oregon who signed this letter, and we wanted to really support them for signing that, putting their name on it. Dennis Lithicum. Anyways, we have some letters back here for those 4 representatives. A thank you letter, basically. Huh? Lithicum? Yes, Thatcher. Yep, there they are. Well, no, that's not them. That's the action item. Okay, so we have 4 different letters back here for those 4 representatives. Thank you, support letters. Again, you don't have to sign these ones. You can go home and write your own to send to them. But if it's handiest for you, just sign the ones that are back there, and we will, again, make sure that those get mailed off to them. We did notice that Senator Hurd's name was not on that list, and we thought it would be nice if it was. So I believe there's a letter back here also for Senator Hurd, asking for him to consider signing his name to that list also. So there's a lot of letters back there, a lot of letters. So you can sign them all, sign 1 or 2, take some home. If you want to take them to make your own, go home and write your own letters. A lot of this stuff has been made available on our website and our Telegram channel. We'll make sure those other 4 letters of support, those things are all on there tonight with the contact information. And that's something that you guys can do. It's super simple, especially if you're just going to sign one of these. Sign it. We'll put it in the envelope. We'll send it off. It's doing something. So, not a super exciting meeting tonight, I guess. No bombshells. But I can tell you that I think at our next meeting in 2 weeks, which we talked about whether or not we would go ahead and continue through December, we're going to. I know it's the holidays, but I can tell you there's one side that's not taking time off for the holidays to screw us over, so we're not either. Anyways, I'm hoping we have some pretty big announcements for you guys, and we'll have an election or a recall update. Tina?
So some of the admins have been working really hard about putting together surveys so that we can get feedback from the 700 some people on our Telegram. So I just ask that if you see a survey come through, please fill it out so that we know and who's ready to be active and who's willing to do their part, and that it's not just left to a small group of people. And even one of them was what time for this meeting to happen. And so we really definitely want your feedback. A lot of work went into creating the...
Not only work, but I think actually there was a membership fee paid to use the, I don't know if it's an app or a webpage, Survey Monkey. I think it was like $200 or $300 for her that she spent for a year annual fee. Anyway, she did, a lot of thought went into this. This survey is on our website. I believe it's already on our website. And we will also post it on the Telegram channel tonight. So yes, please go to the website, put your email in. We're trying to think of the best ways to keep people networked, contacted. We don't want to take your information that's private at the same time. But we want to be able to connect if something happens or comes up. So Janae's back there. If you feel like leaving her your email address or your phone number, that we can just, in the past, we've started a walking blood bank. Is that what you call it? Walking blood bank? Olga has that information if you want to sign up with her for a walking blood bank. Phone tree. That's what the phone number would be for. It's a phone tree. Something crazy starts to happen. The FBI shows up at my house because I'm given to the Glide School District, and I got a phone number, and then I can have 40 people from Douglas County Coalition show up and say, "Not today." Anyways.
I think it just streamlines everything, so not everybody has to be on the chat that doesn't want to be in the chat. It just makes the website streamlines all the information for you and just makes it easier for everybody.
Yes. Oh yeah, and the phone tree helps with volunteer follow-ups. Yes. Yes. The website is, can you pull our contact information back up, Jeff? This in the red is our new website, and we'll make that available. Well, we'll repost it on our Telegram channel, and you can click right on it in the Telegram channel, and it'll take you right to that site. It's just created in the last couple weeks. DCCitizens.org. It is not DCCC.org, because that will take you to Nancy Pelosi's site. So don't make that mistake. Is there any other questions? Did I see any other hands up? I'm really hoping, like I said, a couple of good announcements at our next meeting, but also we have some people with some pretty profound stories that I think a lot of people would find very interesting for their own perspective of the countries that they're from, what they have seen happen as far as socialism, communism, those things. So we're hoping to have some of that at our next meeting too. So we'll plan a good one.
I was just wondering, are the minutes going to be posted on the website, or is there going to be some way for people who can't attend a meeting, they're out of town or whatever, just get a little synopsis?
Well, I think Jeff has been live streaming, so people can go back on and watch the meetings. Yes. But all of our action items are posted on the Telegram channel. The letters will... DC Citizens Coalition on YouTube. We have a channel. We're super out there. It's over for us. We're all on the list now, guys. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you can find us on YouTube and our website. We're gonna make actually, I was supposed to pick up some bumper stickers, so side note, that is one thing. Tom at FX is still willing to do some signs and stuff at cost. He has some really cool Let's Go Brandon bumper stickers. I was gonna try to get by to pick up today, bring tonight, but I didn't make it out there. So Tom is still willing to make signs, banners, stickers for anybody who wants. Again, we have a group of people who've been working with trying to get billboards along I-5 who've been told no. And so then I kind of reverted to private property. You know, everybody's seen that big Trump 1 sign on Harvard, and I love it. So I'm eyeballing my hillside that you can see as you come through around the corner of 138 into Roseburg. Like how long you can watch it for, I think it's a good quarter of a mile. So I'm just trying to figure out exactly where on the hill to put it, what exactly I want it to say. Might make a couple of them, change it up week after week or so. Really try to piss off my neighbors. So if you want to put up a yard sign or something like that, you know, we have a couple different options that Tom was working on. He's supposed to be coming up with some prices. They've been slammed, which is good for them. They're great people. They're patriots. I mean, he's wrapped some cars you've probably seen drive around town. I think his truck right now says, "Let's go Brandon," all over it. There's a car, I think, going around town that says ivermectin works or something like that. So anyways, it's a great small business, local business to support too. Tom, FX Signs. I just know his business is FX Signs. His first name is Tom, and we're best friends. We met once last year. Yes. FX Signs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, no, those emails for the vaccine passport, the digital records, that goes to. Oh. And also, if you can go, I'll make sure Sheila, can you message Sheila real quick and have her get it on the website? If it's not already. I think it's on our website with the contact information. I think Clay showed me. Did you show me that this morning that Sheila has it on there? Is it safe? Well, I don't know. I could say that will definitely put a target on your back. I've put plenty of targets all over mine. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. At this point, it's gotta kind of be an email or a fax. It's kind of not enough time for. What's that? Well, and check back there, and we'll make sure you get the emails for who to send it to. Yeah. Okay. Check with Janae or even Clay back there or Sylvia. Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Yays or nays? Okay. If anyone want to hang out and visit, network with each other, or chit chat, or ask a few questions, feel free. We kind of had originally these subgroups that we would break out into, but you know that was back when everybody was on fire for the mandates for the jobs, and we had the healthcare workers and the teachers and stuff. But now I just say, everybody get together if you want, share some ideas, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks back here again. Check out the website, check out Telegram, and sign some letters. And thank you for coming.